Today's matchup, BBQ Olivers, KT Rolster. Beginning of the end. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Spring Split.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, OGN Legion. I'm Achilles. That's Papa Smithy. It's time to dive into our second matchup of the night. It's going to be KT Rolster going up against BBQ Olivers. Team that, again, has had their ups and downs. BBQ has beaten Kingzone. They've gotten some good victories. They have looked like a very...
I thought you were talking about KT.
Ah, yes. No. Well...
Yeah,
I'll let that one rest. Anyway, if you guys watched that game from a couple days ago, you know exactly why we're remaining silent on the topic. But it's been a really rough road for BBQ Olivers. They had a lot of hype coming in with them, with their recent roster additions, Trick and Ignar both coming over from the EU LCS back into Korea. But they find themselves near the bottom of the barrel, not quite in guaranteed promotion series zone where Kongdu Monster is, but the next closest team to that.
They do have some trophies on the wall. They have beaten Kingzone Dragon X. They have also beaten SK Telecom T1. They want to add both telecom teams to the hit list if they take out KT Rolster today. But basically end KT's hopes of making it all the way to second spot and also leave them open to falling into the wild card match as well. KSV watching on, hoping that BBQ can do them a favor. But that's the best thing about matches this time of the season. Both teams have teams that are watching them and saying, really would like you to win or lose today. So that it's always going to be those shifting sands. It's always going to be about who can fall up and who can go down. BBQ Olivers, they will be on the blue side for game one. And they will be sticking with the same lineup, so Trick will remain in the jungle.
Yeah, Trick going to be popping out a lot of consistency here from the BBQ Olivers when it comes down to their jungle selection. Haven't seen Bono in quite some time, but the big question is all about on that KT side of things. Are they moving away from the consistency and changing things up? They absolutely got smashed by Kingzone just a couple days ago, and you would think a little bit of a mixing things up would do some good for KT.
BBQ always have fantastic cheerfuls, by the way. Really enjoying them over the map here. Coming off a big victory for them. Crazy was Superstar. But you're right, this seems like the time when KT Rolster would really go back to the drawing board. So let's see what they want to reveal. What will it be today? How many changes will they make? Kilios.
Right there. He's in the picture.
He's there.
But he's not in that one.
Oh.
It's going to be Score. Smeb Score, and Yukal will be maintaining his spot starting over Pawn.
And you guys at home know the score. They're not in a rush to debut Rush on the stadium. They're happy to go with Score. Yukal will maintain his spot, even though he was certainly second best to BDD against the Kingzone Dragon X squad they lost to 2 days ago. But
I think you could forgive him for that one.
Agreed, and there was some awkward drafts where 8 mid laners were banned, so I think it's time to give him another shot because when it gets to playoffs, KT need to know who their strongest mid lane option is.
Well, Yukal gonna get another chance. Tempt is honestly going to be a pretty decent test for him there in the mid lane. Tempt has been having a pretty good season and has always been relatively consistent for BBQ Olivers since he started as their team moved into the LCK.
And he finally got that monkey off his back. He finally won a game on Azir after starting off 0-8 on the season. 1-8 now. Pop a pick for him.
About as good as Fiora globally in the league.
Well, that's true. KT Rolster, you know what? They are on a 2-match losing streak. They lost to KSV and Kingzone Dragon X, patch 8.4, outside of the telecom war. Hasn't been the kindest to them.
Yeah, and then just before Kongdu, the loss to Rocks as well. Kingzone, obviously you can forgive them for that one.
Sure.
It should have been way more, way closer than it was. It wasn't close at all. Kingzone just kind of ran over them. But losing to KSV was the most KT Rolster thing they possibly could have done. So they're just kind of living up to that.
KT Rolster is nothing if not consistent in both the good way and the bad way. So look at the KDAs. Mata had a great career KDA over the case of LCK Spring 2018 was leading the numbers. May have dropped after a couple of losses, but was the KDA leader going into last week. See how Deft is able to perform today. Did have a couple of blemishes on his record against Kingzone that I want to push past today.
Yeah, it was a bit of awkward times there for Deft, so wants to go ahead and bounce back. Ghost has been an ADC who's really been up and coming and finally hitting his stride. Was always one of the weaker ADCs that we've had here in the LCK, but seems like maybe this is his year where he can finally start making a bit of a name for himself, or rather changing his name, because he doesn't want to be remembered the same way.
And Org will want the same thing because they want to change this LLLL record they have against KT Rolster. They have never won a series. They are taking games off them the last 2 times, though, and BBQ have not been a free win despite being in 9th spot. Looking at the history, the First Blood rankings here, KT Rolster have been First Blood kings so far in the LCK, but very, very respectable for BBQ to be at 3rd place.
Yeah, not bad. The problem is they just, finishing out the games from there. Get the First Blood, that's great, that's a good start. But we already saw from MVP earlier today in their first game how quickly things can slip through your fingers. So BBQ, they need to hold on to it. They need to secure that First Blood and then move on, take further objectives, and just kind of dominate the pace of the game, something that KT is very much known for if they are the ones who can get that early lead.
KT, along with the best teams, are known for having a high win rate with first turret. Number 1 in the league is Kingzone. KT may not be 2nd in the league, but they are good at controlling the game if they get a good start, which they were unable to do against Kingzone Dragon X. BBQ Olivers, they are around the middle of the standings on a lot of stats, maybe towards the bottom, but not 9th spot, and they are by no means someone to be trifled with. There certainly is a world where they are able to take down KT Rolster and have a match week where they took down both telecom teams. They're in good spirits as well after beating SKT. This is a tricky one. This is a trap game for KT, who have been known to not necessarily have the best backup performances after a big loss.
Always, in the past, it's been, getting defeated by SKT in the telecom war, then going on to lose from there, having been shaken up by that loss. Now, getting absolutely smashed by Kingzone. We'll see if they can keep it together as they go up against BBQ, and the key player is going to be Ghost, given his recent form.
But you see where the criticism comes from. Look at KDA and DPM. He is right down the bottom of the rankings for AD carries, so he has been criticized on a team that was reinvigorated by Trick and Ignar coming into the lineup. Had a better performance for sure against SK Telecom T1, but backing it up is something Ghost has been unable to do. Now he is in his 3rd split as a professional full-time starter, and he needs to once again level up, otherwise he's in danger of losing his spot, I'm sure, with players like Imp coming back to Korea and looking for a team. The fan vote, predictably, on the side of KT Rolster.
Who would have thought?
You would expect this to be a quick KT 2-0, but those expectations have been subverted so many times this year that I want to wait and see what we have cooked up here on the side of KT.
Well, coaches entering into the booth. You can see some pretty good spirits there. And the coach on the side of KT Rolster. They should be feeling confident coming into this game despite that loss to Kingzone. This is, 3rd place versus 9th with a very tight-knit race near the top of the standings. So KT should be feeling much more in form over BBQ as we go into the draft, and Rise is going to be the first thing banned away.
We'll see how narrow BBQ wants to make the champion pool available for UCAL. So far we have seen his effective champion pool of Azir and Taliyah, 2 losses on Syndra and Rise. Taliyah is his most famous pick because he played the dominant portion of his games pre-becoming a pro player on the Taliyah, and now you see Taliyah and the Azir are both taken out. So far BBQ also joining in on what Kingzone were doing and heavily focusing mid lane, as Sion, in the LCK at least, represents almost a mid lane only pick from what we have seen.
Yeah, really has shifted the identity of that pick.
Jungle is available. Galio is available and instantly locked in for BBQ. Awkwardly, Birdio is not available yet, so sadly they cannot use the skin that definitely isn't a BBQ advertisement.
Certainly not.
But the cost is pretty severe, as Olaf is one of the champions who's uninterested in general of Galio's suite of CC, so Thought maybe there would be a first pick jungler here with Olaf available, but they prize the Galio. That means Zaya Rakan is trying to be assembled by the side of KT.
So likely going to force the hand here. We know that Ignar will be fine to go ahead and pick up that Rakan. Should they certainly wanted to deny that away from KT.
And BBQ are ready for a bouncy castle party, it seems, as they're looking for the exit ultimatum to synergize with the Galio ult. Will be a flex pick on the Camille. Strick is 1-0 on the season. They'll lock it in because, of course, these two go together through thick and thin. Now, mid lane is the interesting pick here because KT ostensibly have to lock in Rakan on the red side. So if you take a mid laner now, you can best believe you can ban mid laners in the second round and feel good about it. UCAL has already had to deal with that quite severely. See what BBQ decide. Jungle will probably be targeted if they don't take a jungler. And they actually ignore both and happy to go with the Varus just to have a power 80 carry.
Don't want Ghost to get focused out. Target some of his ADCs and force him onto something a bit more ill-advised. But it will be the Rakan able to lock that one in here for KT. So Lover's bot lane completed, and they'll go ahead and ban away Leona first and foremost.
That makes sense. They have the Galio already, so 80 carry makes sense there, and it'll be support bans. And like you mentioned, the Leona, with her ability to follow on the Zenith Blade, is seen as one of the answers to the Rakan. Top lane banned so far by BBQ, so not opting into more bans focused onto UCAL just yet.
And Alistar, so yeah, just completely targeting out Ignar is KT. Something like the Varus, the Braum still available there, perhaps.
You know his Ultra Comfort is Engage, and right now the Engage champions are at a premium. He usually falls back on something like Shen in these scenarios, but we've already seen that Shen can be very difficult to get out of lane. Was played in our first series of the night. Much bigger pick in the LPL than it is in Korea. We do see another ban to a very safe laning answer to the Galio as the Corki's taken away. I wonder what UCAL has when he's pressed with his back against the wall. The Syndra would not really suit this game. The Vel'Koz is very, very risky. Last time we saw it against Galio, it was Crown's feed to win game, where honestly he was able to control space for Ruler to be able to pop off on the 80 carry. There is definitely value with all the true damage that a Vel'Koz is able to put out. But you do worry that they already have a lot of initiation, and they could certainly add more of it on the side of BBQ.
Looking for that right now with the Kazakhs hover. Would put that Camille up into the top lane, but Sejuani, falling this far through the draft, will get locked in despite the Olaf on the other side. So not going to be able to gate out that Olaf.
This is a pretty good game to play Blitzcrank in.
Yeah, if you grab something like that Vel'Koz out, it'd be quite a nice deletion to come through from the side of BBQ. He's flipping back and forth.
I think a hook champion here would actually be really strong. I can understand the Braum, but he's going to play with the heartstrings a little bit. Will they go with the Braum? Because Braum actually gets trained down by Vel'Koz easier than you might imagine. They go with the Braum anyway. It is the lockdown bot lane. But I would definitely have seen an argument for something more aggressive.
It's one of those times where I was right and I feel bad about it because I actually wanted to see the Blitzcrank as opposed to the Braum. But we can't always get what we want. The final pick. Let's see what KT wants for their top lane for Smeb.
It's probably going to be ultra standard.
Okay.
It goes into the Gnar, and the matchup has been tending towards the Gnar recently. Has evolved a few times, the Gnar versus Camille matchup. But seems to be swinging back the way of the Gnar. Even through the mid-game phase where Camille usually has all-in options. Interesting stuff. Zaya Rakan put together by KT. But Varus Braum is about as safe and strong as a duo to take into it. So honestly, to me, it's about execution for BBQ. Crazy had an unbelievable performance on the Camille last time out. They have great wombo engage sort of comp. The UCAL may not have many defensive options to answer. So when it comes to the early to mid game, execution for KT is going to be around how they can use the Olaf to control the tempo and pace of the game. Because your first indication is, if BBQ have a long leash, they have a lot of different ways to make KT accountable as we roll through the mid-game.
Well, BBQ, aggressive stuff, plenty of lockdown. Everybody here on this team contributing a significant amount of CC. Whether or not they can actually chain it together, get into a position where they can utilize it, is going to be the question. We saw MVP in our first series trying to be the ones going for the aggression, trying to start the fights, and it always got turned around. BBQ does not want a similar situation. They want to dictate the pace of this game. They want to have that early control. And they want to upset KT Rolster here today with a 2-0.
Yeah, they desperately want to get to 6-match wins and join the group, because otherwise, the relegations, it's a real problem.
Yep, could be staring down the barrel of the gun there with the relegations. We'll see if it comes down to that as we get into game number 1. KT, they need some redemption after that match versus Kingzone. Let's see if they find it right here, right now versus BBQ. BBQ fans showing up here tonight.
It's pretty hard to watch that performance 2 days ago and not come and support your team live and in person.
They're channeling the power of the chicken through their voices. Got some young fans here.
KT
fan of
fans.
Score. Young fans cheering for one of the oldest players.
Could be you, Carl, if you told me that. They also have the youngest and oldest players in the LCK.
Yep.
As mid lane and jungle, respectively. I'm sure the shot calling is going to be mostly done by Score in that regard, as Ignar just can't shut up.
Yeah, he's just, he's popping off. Swirling around doing 360s and 720s and whatnot.
If you remember, against SKT, he was going for a lot of emotes as well to try and play the psychological game. Ignar going for the mental warfare, and you see some of his creative plays, and you understand that he is about getting in the enemy's head.
Getting in their head and getting on the flank is usually what we see him doing, but with the Braum, I think it's going to be a bit toned down as far as his little solo missions go.
I'm excited to see more Olaf, as that's something that is always feast or famine. Snowboard jungler that may not quite be Nidalee, but is up there when it comes to the role of an Olaf if he falls behind in the early game. Score is always known for his creative pathing, and so far this game has gone Raptors red. Now, the Raptor start was spotted by Galio, who pushed and roamed to the top side of the jungle. Didn't put down a ward, but they should be pretty clear that Score is going for a very full clear jungle path, and the sort of thing that you can know that he won't be there for a counter gank in really any realistic situation.
Saw Mowgli doing some power farm in there in his game as well. See if he wants to just keep charging through all of these jungle camps, or if we're going to see an early gank.
So red Raptors scuttle after the blue buff, and now just power farming through his Score. Always one of the most interesting people to watch, as he does vary up his paths very frequently. Trick being defensive, predictably, on the Sejuani. When it comes to lanes, you're definitely happy with the Lovers Duo bot side. This lane control can actually shift pretty significantly depending on what skill you take at level 1. And also, as item buys come in, so enforcing early item buys is usually one of the best ways to start punishing pretty even duos when it comes to lane control. Top side, like we mentioned, has been getting better for the Gnar, but Camille for now has vision control, and we're seeing something that we've seen before. Very early Ocean Drake take by the side of KT.
Going to be very helpful going through the lanes, and also there for Score going through the jungle, having that early sustain. So at this point in the game, it's actually going to be quite the relevant pickup, as they will go ahead and finish off that dragon. This could be a very major dragon game as far as the number that we see throughout this goes. Ignar just has the Unbreakable, gets a couple stacks there on the mod up, but can't proc the concussive blows.
One of the other things that's really big about a play like that is that Ignar is priced into warding it, and then with there being very limited vision, that vision is usually pretty useless.
Yeah.
So wasting a ward at 4 minutes is the sort of thing that you can play around and increase doubt on the side of BBQ.
And Score can just come down the river, and it's placed in the back of the pit. It's not going to spot him if he hovers near the top side. So he can get into that bottom lane unseen.
And again, with a meta that is decreasing amount of visions as we go on with no Tracker's Knife, it is relevant to blow out an early ward. I think Smeb missed everything there.
Yeah, that wasn't great. I'm used to playing Fiora now. been a while since I played this Gnar.
My Korean's not good enough to understand what Ignar is saying, but it sounds like he's just shouting dad jokes in the laning phases, Braum.
That'd be great. I don't know how dad jokes go in Korean. I wonder if they translate well.
I'm sure they have to be at least slightly respectful, but what's there to say? Top lane has been an island, and again, we can't overstate how good Crazy was on Camille against SKT. It was a hard carry performance from him, so excited to see if once again he can back up, because Crazy's been this player that I remember coming into 2017 season, everyone was saying, this guy's ripping it up in solo queue. He's going to be the next rising star of the top lane. We didn't see that, as it's one of the reasons people like Sejuani into Olaf. He can just pop over a wall.
How boring, avoiding the action. Damn you, Trick. Playing conservatively and intelligently.
Well, not really any other way to play. Sejuani into Olaf, sadly.
Oh, there's another way to play. It's just not optimal.
True. You know, Trick does have his ups and downs, but he understood the need to disengage wherever possible. Yukal's brief is to basically try to push in Tempt, and if you notice, he does have control wards on both sides of the river, so he can actually, as a Vel'Koz, walk up and pretty easily push in the Galio, and the more Galio's under his turret, the less he's roaming, and that's pretty much all you can ask Yukal to do. In the laning phase, Vel'Koz versus Galio.
Mata showing off some of his roams went in to the enemy jungle, denied some vision.
In general, the vision is in a great line for Olaf to invade, but we're not seeing anything here. Katie happily push up in bot, Vel'Koz keeping Galio involved in the mid lane, and Gnar is doing fine. So overall, it's a very comfortable laning phase coming through for this game, as Trick is really going to be the X factor. He's almost level 6. Good lane gank options in bot lane especially.
Yeah, if he can get there before Deft and Mata start leveling up. Another Storm, of course, there for the Xayah. Can help dodge out and avoid that Glacial Prison.
Game isn't really on a timer for BBQ, but you're always inclined to believe that it's about early aggression on these Galio comps.
Oh boy, well, it's going to be score appearing here into the top side. Forces out the flash immediately from Crazy.
He's actually maxing hookshot, so he is more mobile than most Camille's are in the laning phase. Not really a good max against the Gnar, given the range disadvantage, but does give you all-in burst options if you go into the hookshot first. Usually it's the jungle max, but we do see a lot of variety on the Camille. I've actually seen all 3 abilities maxed in the LCK in the past 2 weeks when it comes to the laning phase, so a lot of creative options for Camille.
Just kind of do what you feel. Go with what your heart tells you. Smeb trying to out-trade Crazy at the moment. The Hyper Procs really helping him out, forces out another hook shot as he gets chunked down below half HP, and Smeb now has that transformation ready to go.
It's been a really successful pick for him this season, the Gnar. He's 7-3 on the season. Smeb's always had a polished laning phase and been a great user of teleports, why he's always highly ranked as a top laner. All-in attempts.
Shot coming through, that's going to be the ultimatum thrown down. Smeb gets the wallop, but the Glacial Prison comes in. He gets locked down right in front of the turret, but now he's trying to turn this one around. Crazy, a couple hits away from dead, but Smeb just can't push forward far enough to finish him off and get the first blood.
Steely Gaze from Smeb, the 1v2 almost enacted, but he gets a lot out of the team of BBQ, including the ult cooldown. Release pressure from Vel'Koz, especially in the mid lane. And that's pressure the other laners continue to push up. We already saw that happening extensively in bot lane.
Well, Score got the blue buff.
That's unlucky.
Thank you, red buff.
It is also tier loss chapter, so of all the mid lane builds, this is the one that's most insulated from your buff being stolen away. Kreencast found that hilarious.
Yeah, they loved it, but this means he can't spam his abilities to stack the tier faster. Ugh, feels bad.
Maybe that was a generational thing where the young buck asked the old veteran for the blue, and he was like, no, you can't have it.
You can't. It's just that Rush was in this game. Rush would have given me the blue.
One day Rush will play. That's what I tell you, OGN Legion, who desperately wants to see the kind boy hit the rift. But running out of games, and KT has to win them all, and all 2-0. If you guys are wondering where KT is at, they're desperately trying to fight for second place, but largely it's out of their hands, just like SKT's playoff run, in that they need a FLICKR to drop at least one game in their next series and then just beat FLICKR straight up in the FLICKR versus KT series that closes out the regular season next Sunday.
Of course, things would get extra spicy if KT just happened to lose this series to BBQ as well. That'd really shake things up a bit. For now, things are going to slow down. Seems like Crazy learned his lessons. Says, all right, I'm not going to go super aggressive on this Gnar anymore, because Smeb is Smeb. And he's pretty damn good at the game.
Going for the Emax also allows him to be even better at the eventual teleport ganks that this Camille is largely picked for. It's not necessarily the Spit Push,
that's going to be the engage coming through. They get the pop up there, immediately in onto Ghost. He has a flash away, Ignite ticking away, but seems like he'll be fine. Tries to get the fade away chain of corruption, but it's going to whiff. KT won't push any further forward. However, they can pick up this Dragon. You can see Score is already going to go ahead and start it.
They have all the vision bot side to make BBQ predictable. Double control ward. Swap the Galio. Galio's teleport ends up being cancelled, like you say. The Drake is started.
Oh, will be peeled off of, though. They know that Sejuani's still hovering in the vicinity.
Score's ult is down, and Glacial Prison is back up. So when it comes to ults used, and also everything from Mata used, they have to be a bit careful about any start on a Drake.
Justice Punch not going to connect. The taunt. So Yukal tries to trade some damage back here, but well, the Galio still going to be just innately more tanky. So Yukal takes the
poor end of the
rear
trade.
end. Yeah, I had to stop myself. I don't know how to counter this one. Speaking of which, it's going to be a taunt coming through here onto Score. Does not have that Ragnarok. He's going to get locked in. A couple more hits will take him down, and that's just going to be first blood going over to BBQ.
Score's not playing around the fact that his mid laner was recalling and had no pressure, walks up and dies when his ult was on cooldown. That was the reason they pulled off Drake, so very suspicious. See him start. Now top lane, they're trying the wombo again.
Yeah, looking for Smeb here. He's got the ultimate. We'll just push them down the lane. Takes a hop, but he gets locked up. And here comes the Galio yet again. Pops him up, and Smeb will go down just like that. BBQ put 2 kills on the board.
And that means the mid lane problem is spread to the top side for KT as the nice gank timing came in, and there's such a long leash for Galio to go for a hero's entrance play, knowing that they had Sejuani ult to guarantee they would all register. They're going to take a turret off this, most likely. They want to. Crazy might want to get an item timing in. And they're not actually that invested in ending the laning phase. It's going decently for the Camille, so they'll back away. But already in the early game, BBQ preying upon some of those KT mistakes that felt likely after that heartbreaking loss a couple of days ago.
Another storm out there from Deft, just keeping himself safe. Says, I'm not going to be the one that goes down. I will not be the 3rd kill. Handed over to BBQ, at least not yet. But good moves coming through from BBQ, and just poor judgment from Score and Smeb. Which is not something that we say very often.
No, but there has been a couple of games, right? You think of KT versus Kingzone the first time around.
Oh, yeah.
Score and Smeb made quite a few mistakes. Score's Camille. It's a big problem in that series. You think of this game and where it's going. Unlike some of these Galio comps that really don't pack a punch in the late game, finding something out of Yukal in the late game is going to be hard. You know, he's on the Vel'Koz. He's the easiest one to shut down. And if Xayah doesn't get monstrously ahead, and so far it's just a farming lane phase, having a secondary threat on the side of KT is not something you can guarantee. And a single damage profile is something that would very much suit a BBQ comp. This wants to dive, 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 and Ghost just hits the front line on the back end. So there's a lot of options here for BBQ, and the early game going well for them is a good sign as well.
KT wishing that they were blessed with that nice triple Infernal that we saw in our first series. Instead, going to the Mountain Drake picked up there as their 2nd. This time the blue buff handoff does go quite well.
You say that. It was at 1 HP.
Yeah,
so.
it went well because he got it, but it was almost a disaster.
Well, results-oriented in your casting there. What about this?
Well, looking for the gank there. That's going to be the taunt coming through off the backside of the flash. Temp's going to miss the Justice Punch as Yukal goes golden, but he's not long for this world. He'll get taken down. Immediate Glacial Prison comes down onto Smeb. Into the hook shot. They stun him up, and Tempt scoops up another one. 4-0 now. Yukal looking a bit distraught.
That was really well played by the side of BBQ. They held the ultimate for the 2nd kill after they saw the teleport completed by Smeb. BBQ just outthinking and out-skirmishing KT Rolster. This is really impressive. We're going to get the replay notice Sejuani ultimate is up. Looks a bit comical when Trick doesn't hit the flash, but gets the respect. They take down Yukal, and they see teleport complete instantly. Sejuani ult predicting the leap as well. That was really clean by BBQ. They looked a step above their previous games against SK Telecom T1, and now against KT, on paper, stronger opposition. They're looking even stronger, so they're clearly trying to peak at the end of the season, which may be too late for their own playoff hopes, but not too late to avoid relegations.
First blood, 3 more. Then that first turret coming through. BBQ find themselves with a near 3,000 gold lead at 15 minutes. Bot turret has taken quite a bit of damage, but with the Varus, they'll have the wave clear. Go ahead and maintain control down on that bottom side where, honestly, Ghost isn't very far behind Deft. It's less than 10 CS down now.
That has largely been a lot of issues coming from other lanes having struggles, and also that KT has spent a lot of time out of lane helping with Drakes and things like that, so no ability to grow a CS lead. In general, when you see a big turret HP difference, it's also that they're pushing rather than trying to control the waves. Very hard to get a turret down and also deny 20 to 30 CS. But BBQ, proactive on the map, definitely making the gold stick when it comes to these early ganks, and jungling where they're strong, which definitely represents the top side of the map. It's crazy. Already has Trinity Force Tiamat against the Black Cleaver from Smith.
A bit too early with the undertow score. Checking will throw down the control ward. So he's just going to lose that one as well, at least eventually. Seems like Trick's not in a rush to deny vision out of a pit that is now emptied. It's a big risk going for the Vel'Koz, and so far, not so good for Yukal.
And his role this game is to stop the Galio roam, which I think he's largely been successful at doing. I think the problem is more, what is the role of the Olaf this game? You know, Olaf in a scenario like this hasn't been actually contesting the Sejuani outside of one visit we saw where Sejuani had to jump over the wall on the top side. Been able to pick up a couple of Drakes, another strength of the Olaf, but they haven't been able to really make Sejuani accountable, and Trick has had the run of the map. Trick has been the best player on the Rift in the first 17 minutes. He's been very on point, and his holding on of the Sejuani ultimate was awesome to see. He is massive also. This piggy has been bulking. He has a Warmogs already at 17 minutes. Doesn't quite have the passive just yet, but he's a really big piggy.
Been excellent work from him. 100% kill participation, 2-0-2. With that Sejuani. And this was a pick that, you know, KT score, they decided to go ahead and skip over. It was available after we see it banned away so very often, see it first picked. But they say, no, let's go for the Olaf, try to get some early control, but everything has just been turned around by BBQ. Well, maybe looking for another gank here onto Yukal, but he's pushed back directly in underneath of this turret. He got the wave clear, so he'll be fine. But Rift Herald will be joining us. And that turret has already taken quite a bit of damage.
Can't see the health right now. Confirmed to be low, and one charge. Calculated, actually.
Yeah.
By the Rift Herald. Nicely done. This means that Vel'Koz will now be even more pressured when it comes to clearing waves under his inner turret. Map control with the global lead is a really scary proposition for KT to have to deal with. A sort of scenario where any sort of invading jungler like an Olaf or a Nidalee is going to have to play super defensively and be contested his own camps. The bot lane also gives up any hope to contest the outer turret going down. It could be 3 outer turrets pre-20 minutes and also a huge teamfight advantage just with the comp they've drafted at 20 minutes. BBQ has everything going their way at the start of this game.
Yeah. And can't really even imagine how much gold score's got to be behind the Sejuani at this point. All the global gold coming through from the 3 turrets taken, plus the first blood, plus the assists there. Trick has quite the lead.
So what do KT do is the question that all the fans will be asking, how they get a foothold back in this game. Honestly, a lot of it has to be the defensive vision control you're seeing Smeb put down. The 2 control wards they put in their jungle are basically trying to get similar map control that you would have if you had 3 outer turrets up, because you're trying to have kind of a diagonal line of what you control. And right now the diagonal line is supposed to encompass the 3 camps in their red side jungle. They're not worried about the Baron being started. They're trying to stay where they're strong. Now they're moving their vision line to the bottom side, as Drake has been the one objective they've been able to take. If you see Trick and the rest of BBQ in the area, though, KT have to respect.
Yeah, getting a third Drake Cloud, not going to be the most impactful, but they can at least keep stacking up to try to get that Elder Dragon later on. Seems that that might just be the win condition that KT is trying to hone in on. They keep poking around, but they can't really advance into the river at all. BBQ just has such control. They're going to be looking for a pick on the lockdown there onto the Olaf. Not the best target, as the Ragnarok will get popped, but now he's going to be without that for a potential fight around either Dragon or Baron.
And do notice that KT are forced to have Vel'Koz and the Xayah compete with CSs. Here we go.
Now they're trying to get the engage there onto Crazy. He goes over the wall with a flash, keeps himself safe.
KT feel really pressured to make an engage because they do not want a situation where Xayah and the Vel'Koz are stacking in one lane. Observer doing a great job of showing us that they're losing CS in side lanes, trying to group mid lane defensively. They're not looking for a pick. They're very much looking to stop there being any further bleeding out. But Crazy can turn on to the Drake. They're going to pick this one up, and KT really want to pick up gold. They still need to scale. But access to CS when you've lost all your outer turrets pre-20 minutes. Very, very tricky to have any hand in the objective game, and it's already starting to slip away from KT Rolster.
Yeah, now 3,500 just about. No, sorry, 4,500. Nearly 5. In the lead there for BBQ. So they have just been piling on these objectives. They've got all the easy ones, however.
Yep.
This is where they will be challenged a bit to see how they can advance this game, keep the pressure up, and not give KT a window back in. Right now, control of vision around the top side of the map is actually quite good by BBQ. Sole vision over the Baron Pit and even some wards forward into the jungle. You can see KT operating as a unit to try to clear that out. Nobody can basically go anywhere alone. Tempt is just furiously pushing in, sees two people, doesn't care.
Has Azonia's already on top of his soon-to-be 10-stack Rod of Ages, so you're right, he gives no Mundos at all. So he pushes up, and it's the right play from BBQ. If you think about Baron damage, it's not the greatest. Camille can help out, but it's going to be split pushing, and Varus not going to go for Blade the Ruin King second, so going for a teamfight build. Problem with teamfight comps, which is usually what a Galio comp will represent, is that while they have strong initiation, getting KT to clump to get full value out of Rage Blade and Hurricane and just, you know, the Galio Camille is not trivial. They have to fully commit with a hookshot into a Hextech ultimatum, then the hero's entrance just to start a fight. An even situation that can be turned around by abilities like the Xayah ultimate, like the Ragnarok. So, as you say, when the easy objectives are up, people are priced in to fight. As the easy objectives start to go down, it's easier and easier for the defending team to use the terrain they have to disengage, to just look for farm. And we're going to wait to see if BBQ can pull the trigger on the Baron, one of the few ways to actually force KT forward.
Keep a close eye on that gold. See how much it's going to grow or shrink here for BBQ. Advancing is something that they want to do, and that's why they're pushing forward yet again, trying to regain vision control over this red side of the jungle. Deft, in the meantime, he just wants to take this red buff. I think he will be able to do so unhindered.
Gets a red buff, gets a mid lane wave, rinse, repeat. KT will invest a control ward every 2 minutes if that's what they get. An extra 300 to 400 gold onto their 80 carry. As getting him towards his third item is one of the big ways that KT can stabilize this game. Nara's done very well at patchworking together, equal CS with the Camille. But it should be noted that Camille's done a lot of roaming to try to hit the map. And while we were a bit surprised to see the Hurricane and mention it's a teamfight build, do note that it means that Ghost can push waves very fast onto the Varus. So it's certainly a pressure game from BBQ. It's just what do they get with that pressure when it gets much harder to crack those objectives.
Yeah, so far, moving in, trying to get any hits in onto the inner turrets. Not happen here for BBQ. Taking the Scuttle Crab, but it's going to be a while before that next Mountain Drake comes up. So it's really just a lot of tiptoeing around this Baron Pit. Score does find Deft. Justice Punch takes Tempt out of range, but they're still chasing in, and they'll actually force the flash out. In the meantime, Smeb loses his as well as that Glacial Prison goes flying.
Okay, to find a way to actually take control around the Baron Pit. The Blade Caller would have interrupted the Galio ultimate, which is why he didn't just ult away, and they want to hold on to that for a potential re-engage. So trade the flashes, the Galios, for the Nars. So far, KT have had a defensive triangle of vision around their red side jungle to stop the deep wards that usually are required for a team like BBQ to look for the teleport flank. I believe there is one ward that's stuck, though, close to where the Olaf is. Might have been just cleared out, though. It's very hard to get vision if you know your control ward spots for any sort of flank. When you're against Ignar, you should probably know all the optimal control ward spots, because that man definitely enjoys coming in for a TP flank.
I mean, just studying his warding is absolutely great. Be a really good way to tackle this, but he can always try to shake things up to keep people on their toes and offset them.
Another thing about red side Vel'Koz when it comes to Baron is that he can set up behind the wall and do a lot of work when it comes to pushing damage over the wall into the Baron pit. So you force the Baron down to, say, 40% health and looks to turn. A Vel'Koz can just unload on the Baron, and then you can look for a 50-50 smite with your jungler. So a very good stall tactic to have strong wave clear and poke on the red side. Red side Victor was always a thing in previous seasons. So for now, at least, because of those variables, BBQ, who traditionally are one of those teams to really dot the I's and cross the T's when it comes to a Baron take, have been stalled out. And, you know, you mentioned the gold lead not growing. We're now hitting 26 minutes, and the gold lead is slightly, you know, being arrested. It's very much around that 5,000 gold mark. And so far, BBQ haven't invented a way to actually grow.
Yeah. It's only been a gain of about 400 so far. Good secure on the blue buff just a little while ago there by Smeb. Make sure that Crazy can't get that. As we see him hunting there in the mid lane, trying to find a lockdown on the Depths, who's playing quite far back.
I also appreciate one of the most underappreciated things about Olaf is that he can check brush with his Q.
Yeah.
Not many junglers have a non-committal Q to check for vision, but also to see if there is a brush camp from the enemy.
Gragas. We saw how nicely that went for him. And how nicely this might not go for score. He'll just charge his way out of there. Doesn't have to pop the Ragnarok, so actually pretty darn good.
Yeah. And look at that advanced control ward and a brush that you don't normally check.
Who's gonna find it?
It could actually last a really long time and relieve pressure. That was very creatively put. I didn't actually see it put down, but clearly BBQ did not either.
Yeah, whoever did it, oh, ignore. He's so close, but he's so far away. We'll be able to get that BBQ in the meantime, however, do pick up another objective, so now they have the Mountain Drake to assist them in the Baron take, should they decide to go ahead and start that up.
Isn't it amazing that 175 gold ward is overcoming 4 control wards in the river from KT? From BBQ, I should say. BBQ have so much vision, they're wondering, why is this enemy not checking? But that brush is not one you usually path into.
It's really not. It's just been hanging out. I really wish we knew who threw that one down.
Come on, Ghost. Ghost,
really
nope. I mean, why would you go there? He did it!
Wait, did he even notice? Yes, he did.
Now he really notices.
Okay. It pinged the map for me with the scrying plan. We finally found it, folks.
That was like 1,000 gold worth of vision
that was
from
great.
that ward. That ward was titanic in delaying this game. Is taken out, heroic ward dies. We didn't even give it a name like we gave the Bannon. That ward deserves a name.
That, yeah. Have to think of something.
Well, hold the thought. But
wonderfully done by the control ward.
4-0 in kills. BBQ owning the early game, and KT looking a bit all at sea, but they've been able to wrest back a very even position in the game. Game seems to be stalling out. The goal lead now 6,000, was 5,000 a few minutes ago. KT are getting items, and because the total gold numbers are closing in on 100,000 gold between the two teams, item advantages become slightly less relevant. Barons finally started for the first time by BBQ.
Control ward coming down there from Mata. Another one into the pit. Score throws it in. Down to half HP is the Baron.
Remember, Vel'Koz can ult over.
Crazy here pinching into the backside. He's going to go in, gets that ultimatum down on top of Yukao. His entrance comes through as well. The Vel'Koz still alive, flashes over the wall, gets into the red pit. Has to be followed there by Score, but Mata won't be able to do the same. He goes down. Baron's still alive, but BBQ, they can turn right back over to it.
Finally got Crazy in. They invested his flash, so hard to recreate that one when flash is down. But they can start the Baron for now, looking for an extra kill.
Trick comes over the wall, doesn't have the Glacial Prison. Hookshot comes through, gets a lockdown onto Score, and he's just going to get deleted as Crazy finds the kill. Now no smite available. And BBQ might just be feeling perfectly safe enough to go for that Baron yet again.
The disintegration rate is about 50% off cooldown. Will not be done in time. KT need to find a way to contest this.
Smeb is going to be losing his Meganar.
That's walking up. It seems unlikely.
Yeah, 3,000 HP now down to 15, and that's going to be the smite coming through. KT just trying to poke, trying to just find somebody, get them low enough to maybe deny one of these buffs, but they cannot do it. They'll just be settling for a tier 1 turret in the mid lane, their first turret of the game. As BBQ does surge forward in gold, and now they have the Baron buff here, the tool, to help them push down the lanes and take even more objectives.
And this is why you usually deny the Camille synergy with the Galio. We're going to see the replay. Crazy comes in. There's only one person he wants, it's Yukal. Importantly, they're not able to actually kill Yukal through this, but one person dies in the crossfire. You can pile on, so you have 10 stack Rod of Ages and Azonias on the Galio, and Camille tanky as well. Was an air of inevitability. That will be a successful play for BBQ. It gets them the Baron. They do not have a banner of command yet. So that means actually pushing down turrets in a 5-man stack is going to be difficult. But they do have Crazy with full split pushing itemization. So they probably have to look for 4-1 to actually try to break the base on their first banner.
Yeah, not super oppressive yet, but you can see BBQ not wasting any time. See, we have 2.5 minutes left on this Baron buff. Let's use as many seconds of it as we possibly can. TP comes through there from Crazy, and he's going to be applying the pressure in the mid lane while the rest of BBQ goes down to the bottom side of the map.
Still, it's a bit more of an old school Baron play because there is no banner of command on patch 8.4. We're not on patch 8.5 yet, where there are those nerfs targeted at the Banon minion. BBQ looking for the 4-1, not globally. They're just going to play playing through 2 lanes, but they get the mid lane in a turret, which will be of great assistance when it comes to the second Baron of the game. If you guys are wondering at home whether it's going to be a short game, does feel like a second and maybe a third Baron will be required to actually close out here for BBQ.
Yeah. Crazy, though. Rotates immediately up towards the top side. He's going to get that pressure moving up top as well. Has to be answered by Smeb. The rest of the team just kind of hovering down around the bottom side of the map, but this might just be about it. Bringing the wave up, and you can see KT, they're split. They're not sure if they should go top side to try to kill Crazy, or if they should stick around down the bottom side. Smeb still going forward, Score now arriving, throws in the undertow, gets the slows, tactical sweep comes down from Crazy, and he still has the Guardian Angel. He's going to drop the ultimatum, the Galio ult comes through, and they are just going to delete Mata, and he still hasn't lost the Guardian Angel.
And meanwhile, look at the minimap as well while all this is happening.
Yeah, they're pushing down looking for the inhibitor turret. They're going to be able to take this. No one can respond in time. Tempt, will he make it out with his life is going to be the question here as they lose all their objectives. He goes gold and dashes to the side with the Justice Punch, gets that taunt, but the Hyperprocs are coming through, and Smeb will be able to claim the first kill of the game for KT, but at what cost? A great one is the answer. BBQ now maybe looking for a second inhibitor in the mid lane. Glacial Prison goes wide, doesn't catch Yukal. They aren't going to be able to knock down the turret. The wave clear there from depth is still quite strong, but now KT, they're going to be contained inside their base because of that inhibitor going down.
And they trade down in a massive way. It's a 1-for-1, but also 2 turrets and an inhibitor in the bot side. Crazy has about 3 seconds off cooldown on his hook shot. So they just go for a re-engage, and Mata takes 1,000 damage from the Q Trinity Force. True damage proc, and Galio will do the rest. And because it takes another 15 seconds to kill the Galio, there's no way for Na to be there, even though he had teleport up. So they take an inhibitor. They only trade 1-for-1, not even a free pick for the side of KT. And BBQ, we mentioned the second Baron, still going to be a few minutes away as Baron just times out. But a successful Baron buff power play for the side of BBQ.
And honestly, I'm still one of the most crucial things about that is the Camille not even being denied the Guardian Angel. Crazy gets to hold on to it, which means he's going to have it for the next fight, so he can jump into the back line onto somebody like Yukal, or just go for Score and chunk him down as we see that ultimatum get thrown in. And Score, he's got nowhere to go. He is just going to get popped. Crazy, absolutely destroying with this Camille.
There's nothing Olaf can do. He resists ulting and doesn't have the ability to walk out of the ultimatum. So he's dead. Score walks up. The plan around...
He's got half their kills.
He does, but the plan around the Olaf is the big problem I see here for KT. They really haven't been able to get any value out of the trading advantage. It feels like a tier list pick as BBQ looking for the end.
Prison goes in. Mata does get a double pop-up. Unbreakable there, but can't block all that damage coming through from Yukal. Ignore takes quite a bit. Knocked down to about half HP, but BBQ, they still have the pressure. They have the super creeps inside the base here on the bottom side of the map.
As he doesn't have the ultimatum, but they'd love to break the base before the second Baron spawns.
Crazy just duking it out here with Smeb on the side. He will start to exit. Maybe they can get the Guardian Angel this time. Nice hook shot, cancels the stun out, flashes over the other side, so Mata cannot get the pop-up with the grand entrance, and he will yet again walk away with his life with the Guardian Angel still up. And it's going to be a third Drake, a double Mountain now here for BBQ.
It's a Baron play. When they make it's going to be even more decisive, you would imagine, from BBQ. Flash being down on Crazy is not trivial because he will find it harder to look for Yukal when it comes to the Hextech Ultimatum in the next fight. But the Guardian Angel, like you mentioned, should be the capper on whatever engage you have. Capper, not Kappa, by the way, Twitch chat. As we wait for the potential close here. So far, BBQ really haven't put a foot wrong. Not going to be a perfect game as a kill and 2 Drakes have gone the way of KT. But I do love how they've played the map and how they've made KT accountable. They're using the globals in a way that makes a lot of sense rather than some teams who have drafted the Wombo engage but not being able to actually use it. So I feel like BBQ are playing to their draft better than KT is, and that's the 9th place team playing to their draft better than the 3rd place team.
Yep. Again, KT, you know, they would come into this one being the favorites even with the loss against Kingzone. But, I mean, they find themselves so far down now. About 36 minutes on the clock. Only the 1 kill, the 1 turret, and then those early dragon takes. Those are the things that we can speak of in their favor, but otherwise, it's over 11K.
You take away the Camille, and you look at the items for KT, and you say, oh, you could turn this around. 4 items on the Xayah.
And then you look at Crazy.
And it's also not just Crazy being fed, it's the Hextech Ultimatum making disengaging almost impossible for KT. They don't have a Tahm Kench or the ability to disengage Camille out of her ult. In fact, the only knockback they have is the Gnar ultimate, or I guess the mini knockback from the Vel'Koz E. So getting her out of the Camille ult seems very unrealistic, and the end result is that what happens will happen. The reliability is there to really put BBQ over the line. So let's see if Deft or Azir can make something happen. Here we
Crazy
go.
goes forward, ultimatum thrown down here onto Smeb. Here comes the Galio. A lot of damage goes forward there onto Crazy and Ghost. As Deft tries to fire away, throws out the Feather Storm. Crazy finally will lose that Guardian Angel as Mata dashes to the side. Over to the 80 carry, trying to stay alive. Trick is flashing the wall. This might be the turnaround. They finally get the kill there onto the Camille, shutting him down right as the Baron spawns.
Really nice shot call by BBQ. They noticed that Ignar was in the enemy jungle on a warding mission and meant that he wasn't actually in front of his carries. So Crazy's life is for nothing. And you're right, I think KT should just rush to the Baron.
Yeah, the TP's gonna come through. Smeb coming in to cut them off. Trick is back up to full HP. Thank you very much, Warmogs, but the Baron is down to half. They're trying to burn this one down. He's on the backside of the pit. Can they deny him? He goes in and he takes it away! Right underneath of their noses. KT thought they found the way back in. They will get the punish. They make the Sejuani pay for his sins as Smeb goes in, pushing to try to lock down Ignar, but BBQ have the inside track and there's super creeps on the Nexus turrets.
Exactly, BBQ are going to walk that way, and if KT aren't recoiling, they're going to get something. But now they're going to back away. The inhibitor respawns in the bottom right of your screen, which means that nothing further will happen. Heroic steal by Trick. He's been on the receiving end many times. That must mean a lot for him. But after one mistake the team makes, he's able to spoil any blemishes. We get the replay. Notice that Ignar is nowhere. The Galio can come in with the hero's entrance, but Ignar is on a ward mission rather than actually being in position. So for once, Deft is actually able to free fire. They kill Crazy through the Guardian Angel. That could have been the pivotal moment for KT Rolster, but the Baron being stolen away answers the small mistake.
Yeah, the warding mission position, not great. KT, though, if they had gotten that Baron, that would have instilled so much more confidence in them. They're still going to be down by nearly 11,000 gold at this point. Elder Dragon is going to be served up next.
Again, if they lose, they're looking susceptible when it comes to dropping from the best of fives and actually dropping all the way to 4th spot, which would represent the best of 3 wildcard match that KT as an organization has never played in. They've actually never been involved in the wildcard. They've always placed higher. And that means things right now are in a very tenuous position for KT Rolster. After being the 2nd best team in Korea for so many weeks, it might not mean a lot as we're in the business end of the season, and sadly, KT is not getting the business done.
Far from it. But they're not going down without a fight, as you can see. Baron buff, however, going to make them holding out. They're going to make it that much more difficult for them to do so. Inhibitor has respawned down on the bottom side, and that's exactly where Crazy is focusing, trying to move the wave up. Get some alone time with that inhib. So with that Triforce, he's going to rip it apart. The rest of KT just has to pay attention to the mid and top sides of the map, trying to clear out these waves fast enough to deny the damage from those double cannons that are firing away. Neither of them banned up, but still doing quite a bit of damage.
Slowly, slowly, BBQ move forward. They know that if they make a mistake on the dive, game could be turned around, as they found out in the previous fight in mid lane. So for now, slow and steady. Still a minute of Baron left.
So poking in from the side. It's a hyper proc there. They're going to go in for Tempt. Goes down to about half HP. They'll get locked up. Smeb does not have that ultimate anymore, and he's just going to get hounded down as Ghost finds the kill. Mata as well getting chunked out. Has to retreat back towards the fountain as Trick comes over the wall. Doesn't find the flail. Deft flashes away, and he just can't make it out with his life. The Featherstorm is already used, and now the ultimatum down. Yukal going to be locked in. That's going to be a double kill. Going over to the Galio. Absolutely rips them apart, and now BBQ, they're just going to win the game. 40 minutes on the clock, 12-3. Absolutely slaughter KT Rolster in game one.
Well-deserved victory for BBQ, looking to back up their victory over SKT with another big scalp, and KT have no one to look at but themselves. They were outplayed by BBQ in this game. No value out of the Vel'Koz. The Smite steal away might feel harsh to KT fans, but every other minute of action went the way of BBQ, especially the early game where they got the max value out of their picks, and this BBQ renaissance might actually be enough to get them out of relegation, even though on paper their schedule included some very tough opposition.
BBQ now having that resurgence that seems like MVP is kind of diving off from. Game one win is quite a prize for them to pick up, but game two, closing this out concisely, would be so damn impressive. KT Rolster, the onus is on them to make the changes. They're the ones who have to step up the performance. They're the ones who have to change the draft.
Telecom Wars feeling like a long time ago. A loss to KSV with KSV coming back. A 2-0 to Kingzone. You can look at those names and offer them some level of understanding, but BBQ Oliver's 2-0 along with those would represent a huge dent in the hopes for KT Rolster. They look a bit anemic. They also look like their draft identities aren't packed with power. Maybe they need to look at the mid lane as well and give Pawn a go, as it is 3 losses in a row for Yukal.
Yeah, has been a bit since we've seen Pawn back out. Yukal here goes for the Vel'Koz. It was a risky one, just never really paid off. Don't think he ever got to channel his ult for the full duration. Was always stopped, forced back in some manner. Just didn't have that impactful damage that you want to see from that, those true damage procs coming in. Rough stuff for KT Rolster and their fans. Can they bounce back is going to be the question. BBQ Olivers would love to close this out with a 2-0. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll find out if they can do just that, because it carries very heavy implications, not only for the promotion tournament, but for KT and their placements in the playoff series. They want to go as high as possible. They want to overtake a Freak of Freaks. They might not be able to do it. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in just a few.